Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you could join us in the midst of all these tornadoes and storms. We all seem to have made it through to the other side. So, welcome, and I'm really glad you're able to join us. We are recording this session so that we can share it with those. We actually had about 35 people sign up, some of which said they couldn't be with us in person, but they would love to have a copy of the recording. So we're going to go ahead and record it. And can all of you guys see the agenda, which is in the chat? Okay, Gwen is saying no. Let me put it in one more time.
Oh, I can see it in the chat. I thought you were going to put it on the screen. I can see it.
Yeah. All right, terrific. So I am Eden Durbin, and I am Executive Director of Do the Most Good. I also have my leadership team with me. I've got Betsy, and I've got Lenny, and I've got Nancy, and I've got Gwen, and I've got Phyllis. This is some of our leadership team, and they're the ones who are sort of will help us launch our canvassing journey, which will begin in September. So, Do the Most Good has been canvassing since 2017, when we were born. We do canvassing, we do letter writing, we do postcards, we do texting, and we do phone calls. But we are really focused this upcoming for the midterms, focused on canvassing. We really feel that when you look at the research, there's a real emphasis on the effectiveness of canvassing. So we thought what we would do tonight is talk a little bit about what canvassing is, what it feels like to go to the doors and to talk to volunteers, how Do the Most Good trains our volunteers, how we put people, we buddy them up and we carpool, where we're going to be focusing, both in Pennsylvania and in Maryland. And then just sort of do walk through what's called Minivan, which is the app that we asked you guys to download. So that's sort of the logistics of canvassing. And then we'll walk you through the script, how we approach voters and how we ensure that we have authentic conversations. I'm going to have Lenny and Gwen at some point do some role playing to sort of talk about how we start the conversations and how we keep them going, and then how we have a strong close with a message about whatever candidate we are talking about. So the research on canvassing is really interesting. When they looked at postcards, they found that postcards generate roughly a 1 to 2% increase in voter turnout. And phone banking generates really a 2 to 3% increase in voter turnout. But at the end of the day, door-to-door conversations and canvassing generates about an increase, 6% increase in voter turnout. So all of this is pieces of the puzzle. And all of it makes for our touching base with voters on a regular basis. Most of you guys have heard this, that you have to touch a voter on average 7 times before they actually go and vote. And that can be postcards, and that can be phone calls, and that be texting, and it can also be conversations at the door, and also peer-to-peer conversations when our neighbors and our friends call somebody who is a thought leader in their community, or has they know that they've been really following an issue carefully or a candidate carefully. That can be very effective as well. Um, so how do we do it? What we're going to do is we pick our candidates. And sometimes we pick our candidates, like we have selected Dan Schwartz, and we're really going to focus on him. And he is on the Eastern Shore in Maryland, Maryland 1. And then we're going to focus on Janelle Stelson, who's in PA 10. That's the York area. So we have done Janelle before. We did her last time. She lost only by about 5,000 votes. We have a very good feeling about her. The Democratic committee is putting a lot of money and energy and time into her campaign. A lot of the grassroots that we work in this area, as well as in other states, are really focusing on her. And I just spoke today with the Democratic Party, the Maryland Democratic Party. They're going to put a lot of time and energy and money into Dan Schwartz on the Eastern Shore. So we're really going to have a machine behind us, in addition to a lot of grassroots work that'll be done for both of these candidates. Um, Janelle we have a very, very good chance of flipping that seat. Um, at this point, we have Scott Perry. Lenny, if you can, that would be great. Um, and then Andy Harris, we want to unseat in Maryland 1. And a gentleman by the name of Jovi Lopez has just joined us. He's with our Montgomery County, our local committee, the MCDCC, but he is also now taken a position with the Maryland Dems, which is our statewide Dems. And I'm going to have him talk a little bit about Dan because he'll be running all the field operations. And he and I spoke today, and he really talked about how much they're going to lean in to the Dan Schwartz campaign. So let me talk a little bit about the doors. We have our candidates and then we have our doors. We work very closely with the candidates and their staff before we ever arrive at a canvas. We talk to them about the nature of our volunteers. We talk about who is seasoned, who is a newbie, what people expect, so that they can really work with us to curate the doors. We're never going to send you to MAGA doors. It is not worth having a conversation where we're going to try to turn somebody who is an arch Republican and a MAGA supporter. We're just not, that's not our role. They will use paid staff if they have to have those hard conversations with key voters in their state, whether it's Maryland or whether it's Pennsylvania. But we will do Democrats, leaning Democrats, independents, and we will work with them as to what the doors will look like so that everybody really has a positive experience. We will also get down to the granular level. What is your turf going to look like? We make sure that it is not houses in rural communities, which are miles apart and you have to drive from one door to another. We try to work in dense communities so that you can, you have your 50 or 60 doors. Sometimes you go by yourself. Sometimes you'll go with a partner if that's what you prefer. And you can split up the houses. And they're situated geographically in a way that you really can get through them. Our goal is to get through our doors within 2.5, 3 hours, so that you have good, positive conversations, but you're not spending all your time in between doors. Um, Interesting enough about canvassing. You may get 50 or 60 doors and houses that you are going to knock. You may have only 8 to 10 conversations. And you think, really? Did that have an impact? But you have to look at it in terms of cumulatively. You talk to 10 voters. They then talk to their peers and their neighbors and their families. Often we end the conversations and we'll say, listen, thanks for talking to me about Janelle or about Dan. Would you do me a favor? Would you talk to 5 neighbors? Would you talk to 5 friends? Because really it's the impact of the peer-to-peer conversations. So you have these 10 conversations. That has a ripple impact. But then you have a volunteer that comes the next day and they may hit 10 more doors in that same turf. And then the next day. So ultimately you cover that turf and you cover the district, which is extremely helpful to the campaigns. In addition, you may come across somebody that says, nope, not interested. I'm voting Republican this time. Then that is good information that we pass back to the candidate and to the campaign. And so we are always constantly honing their lists so that we're focused on those who are going to get out and actually vote. So all of it is part of a puzzle, and we have one piece of it. We do Zoom trainings before any Canvas. We walk people through the doors, what the script will be. We bring somebody in from the campaign to be actually on the call because sometimes there are what's called hyper local issues. So you may look at Dan Schwartz's email, website, and look at Janelle's and really have a sense of what their priorities are. But ultimately, the community that we're going into cares about data centers. And they care that there's not a data center near their house or near their kids' schools. We need to know that before we go into the community. And that's why we bring the candidates or the campaign staff, and they can really walk us through so that we are well versed by the time we get to the doors. We teach you about minivan on these calls. We teach you how to tell your story, what it is that makes you a Democrat, what it is that makes you a volunteer, what it is that makes you drive to Pennsylvania, take an entire Saturday, and go talk to voters that are not even in your state or that are over in the Eastern Shore. So we talk about crafting our story. I often will start a conversation and I will say, I am really concerned about small businesses and farmers, and I'm really concerned about their costs. And these tariffs just don't make any sense to me. And the impact that is having on the cost of meat, on the cost of eggs, on the cost of gas. And that sort of hooks the people, and then you marry it with the values and the priorities of your candidate. And so this is what Dan Schwartz, this is what he is focused on, or this is what Janelle Stelson is focused on. So you walk in as yourself at the door with a story that is comparable to their story. You get a conversation going, and then you educate them a little bit. You plant a seed with them. You're not going to have 20-minute conversations, but you could have a really good 3 to 5 minute conversation where you have left them thinking and they've heard the name. Ah, Janelle. Ah, Dan. And all of that has an impact. And then maybe they get a postcard from us about how good these candidates are that are handwritten. Again, all of it is part of a puzzle. And then we carpool. So we will go into the Eastern Shore. Everybody meets typically in Kensington at my house. We put people together in carpools. We'll put 2 or 3 people in a car so that that car then goes to Pennsylvania, goes to the Eastern Shore. And that person who's driving will drop the various volunteers off at their turfs. So everybody is nearby each other. And then you talk to each other. Hey, I'm only halfway through my turf. I could use some extra help. Or hey, I'm done. Does somebody need some help? So that that foursome becomes a family, becomes a unit, and gets through their doors. Sometimes it's even down to you have 2 people. One person really doesn't want to do it by themselves. In the app that I gave you, the minivan app, you can do evens and odds. So you can be on the same street and one does the even houses and one does the odd houses. Or you say, hey, listen, I'm going to do First Avenue. You do Second Avenue. We'll meet at the end and then we'll figure out what our next streets are. So that you really can do it however it feels comfortable to you. I prefer to go by myself. Others prefer to go in a group. Others prefer to go one-on-one with one other person. So we can really work with you as to what your comfort level is and how you're going to have the best conversations at the doors. So let me talk a little bit about Minivan. And I'm assuming that all of you downloaded the app and got your action ID. Is anybody new to Minivan? Okay, okay. So it looks like we've only got one. So is that Richard? Is that um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through Minivan at the end. And then I will really get you on it and show you what you can do on Minivan so that you have it's really an amazing app that tells you who you're going to be talking to at the door, female, male, independent, Democrat, what their age is. And sometimes there's even notes in there, what their priority issues are, what conversation has been had before. So I will walk you through that. And if I can do minivan, the Luddite that I am, anybody can do minivan. It's pretty user friendly. Even for us boomers, it's pretty good. Um, one of the last things is, and then I want to have Jovi jump in, is what we tell people is you look at the candidate, whether it's Janelle or whether it's Dan, you look at one or two issues that speak to you. You do not need to know all of Janelle's 9-point plan on whatever it is, tariffs and immigration and healthcare and education. But you look at it and say, you know what speaks to me is the lack of childcare, and I want more investment in childcare. Or what speaks to me is the big beautiful bill and how it slashed SNAP. So what you do is you go in your head with one or two or three issues, and you know where Janelle stands on it. You know where Dan stands on it, so that you then weave that into your conversation. And they may come back and say, okay, well, that's all fine and good, but I want to know where she stands on, I don't know, universal pre-K. Well, that may be not an issue that's near and dear to you, and you may not know all the ins and outs. And that's what you say. That is a really good question. And I actually don't know the answer to that, but it's a very small campaign. I will put this in the notes section on Minivan, and the campaign staff will then look at the notes, and I can have them call back and talk to you. When I work on my delegates campaign, we always call back to the voters who have left questions with our volunteers. And these are campaigns that we know well enough that we can flag these doors and these issues for them, and that they will then follow up. So you don't need to know all things Janelle, all things Dan. You just need to know what speaks to your own heart and what you can talk about authentically, and the rest, either the campaign can follow up with or another volunteer. And voters really understand that. They don't think that you're the candidate. You're there as a volunteer. We will start in September, and we will go to Pennsylvania twice a month, and we will go to the Eastern Shore for Dan once a month. Um, so at this point, Jovi, if you wouldn't mind just jumping in, tell us a little bit about Dan, the candidate, and then what the party is going to do and how it's going to help.
Sorry, I have my toddler up there screaming. He's about
Is
to,
it bedtime?
it is bedtime, so
Yeah.
he's kind of belligerent. Howdy, everyone. I appreciate so much every single one of you that is on this call.
Ah, the balance of life, work and home. We may come back to him. Oh, here he is.
Sorry about that.
No.
The parenthood. Um,
Have
oh,
kids, they said.
yeah. Um, Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Jovi Lopez Ramos. I am the statewide organizing director for the Maryland Democratic Party. Um, it is so crucial. There are so many things that are going on in our state and our neighboring states. We're just in you know, I have been doing this professionally for the last 10 years. I've been involved in politics probably for the last 16, maybe a little bit longer. Um, I I don't think any of us, 15 years ago could have thought that we were going to be in the place that we are right now. We're like quite literally fighting against authoritarianism. It is absolutely crucial that we completely blow this election completely out of the water and just completely push back. If there is ever a time to be able to make movement on the margins and like push on the success that we've had over the last years, it's this year. Independents are more open to hear conversations, and even what we call technically soft Republicans, people who don't necessarily participate that much in primaries or like maybe a registered Republican but don't really vote that much, they are receptive to the type of messaging because they see what they're seeing, you know. Um, I can't, verbatim remember the quote from 1984, but it's about rejecting what you see and hear and just listen to exactly to what we're telling you. That has become the platform for MAGA. And all the work that we're doing this year in the state party has pushed forward an initiative to contest every single race across the state. So we have a Democrat in every single, it doesn't matter if it's a Board of Education race, an alderman race, a city council race, we have a Democrat in every single race. So we're going to be pushing back as hard as we possibly can. And I'm not going to lie to you, Maryland 1 is a monster of a district. It is not just by landmass, but also by the partisanship. What we do have the advantage, though, is that if you couple the Democrats with the number of independents, we are more than the Republicans. So we need to win over every single vote. We will definitely be talking with soft Republicans, but definitely not the MAGA Republicans. Like when we're knocking on doors, we want to focus mostly on density. We want to focus on good conversations. We want to focus on talking with folks about the actual issues that matter to them and not just a whole, vote blue no matter what. This is one of those years that we need to be able to make meaningful conversations count. So every single person that you talk with might be the first time that they ever talked with anybody on a campaign. So this would be essentially their first interaction into the foray of politics altogether. So I appreciate you all. I know that some of you aren't going to come out to the Maryland first. Maybe some of you are just going to go to Pennsylvania. But regardless of your schedule and your motivation to be able to do this, I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do, because we would not be we could not do what we do or could be what we are without your help. So
Thank you, Jovi, very much. We look forward to partnering with you. And I do think we will spend a fair amount of time. Because one of the things, even if we can't flip Dan Schwartz, flip that seat, by going out and having conversations and bolstering the Democrats, you build the Democratic infrastructure. And then we're stronger the next time, and we're stronger the next time. And then we can hold back school board members that are Moms for Liberty. So all of it matters. Not always that we actually flip a seat. It's what we're doing for our democratic infrastructure. And the grassroots really is an important piece of it. So thank you, Jovi. I wanted to take some time now and turn it over to Gwen and Lenny. They were going to do a small role play on how to do it, how to have meaningful conversations, and then talk a little bit about their own experiences, maybe something funny that happened, or maybe some of the fears that they had and how they overcame them. But I thought I would first let them start by doing a little role playing and knocking on a door. Gwen and Lenny, you want to take yourself off mute?
Yes. And I just want to clarify also about the postcards, because you mentioned that the Get Out the Vote postcards don't have as high of an impact, which is true. But the voter registration postcards at Field Team 6, they analyze those every day, because I know there's some people here that were at my event this afternoon, and thank you for being here. But those postcards do have an impact.
Yes. Yeah. All of it matters. All of it matters. Do you want to start, Gwen, by knocking on Lenny's door?
Sure.
Or square?
Hi.
Hi, are you Lenny?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi, my name is Gwen, and I'm out knocking on doors for Dan Schwartz for Congress here in Maryland. And are you familiar with Dan?
I've heard of him, but I don't really know much about him.
Oh, well, I'm out knocking on doors because I want access to health care. And I'm a nurse, and nurses take care of people. And for many, many years, nurses have been named the most trustworthy profession. And I want a government that is as trustworthy as my profession. And Dan Schwartz wants to improve access to health care. He wants to fund rural hospitals. He also is supporting farmers and wants to cut back the tariffs, repeal the tariffs that have increased the prices so much. So what message can I take? What are your concerns that I can take back to Dan Schwartz and tell him?
Well, I mean, I care about healthcare, of course, but the last thing you mentioned about the prices of everything, I mean, every time I go to buy anything, my food or my gas or anything for my kids, I mean, every time I go, it's more expensive. So I don't know. What do you think he could do?
Well, I'm going to take these issues back to him and let him know what your concerns are, because he wants to know what people in his district are worried about, and he wants to work on those issues. And
Well, my friends and my neighbors, my husband, everybody, it's sort of the same thing because it's every day. This
it's
is every
difficult.
day.
It's really difficult. This current regime has really put a number on us. Do you have a plan to vote?
Well, I mean, I always vote, but a plan, I don't know that I really have a plan.
So will you be voting early, or will you be voting on the day of election?
Um, well, I don't really know the schedule. Do you have some information
Yes,
about
yes,
that?
I can tell you where your early voting polling place is, and
Okay.
we're encouraging everybody to vote early, because you don't know what's going to happen on election day. Are you going to be sick? Are you going to be busy? So we're encouraging everybody to please vote early, and I'll give you those locations where you can vote early.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. And one of the things that I do is that, as I said before, is that, and I say, listen, would you take 10 minutes? Would you just call 5 friends, 5 family members? Especially as we get to the end, there are cycles and rhythms within an election. And if you're doing it now in the summer and you're doing it in the fall, you're really educating people about what Dan is going to do or what Janelle's going to do. And then we get to what's called GOTV, get out the vote. That's really the last 2 weeks. And that is where you're going to straight on Democrats. You're going to people who've already been identified as they're going to show up and vote, and you're going to super voters. And you're just saying, please make a plan, make sure this is where the early voting sites are. This is where you can put in your mail-in ballots. Would you ask 5 friends? Would you ask 5 family members? And I've had real luck with that. Lenny and Gwen and I have been canvassing for many years, and it's interesting how you approach voters. You can judge how busy they are, and so you know whether to shorten your conversation or if they're out in their garden and maybe you know that it seemed to be an easy conversation to start, maybe have a longer conversation. I also talk about houses have social cues. If you walk up and there's a stroller, there's a small tricycle, well, then you know it's small kids. So maybe you're going to talk about education and how we need to increase our investment in education. Maybe you need to talk about the subsidies for childcare and how hard it is for working families to pay for it. Or you walk up and there's a Sierra Club sticker. Ah, well, then maybe you want to start with the environment. Lenny, did you want to jump in? You're on mute.
Just thought I unmuted. Just to build on what you said, at the risk of sounding like a stand-up comic, I think of it as reading the room. And if you see that someone answers the door and there are like 3 kids under 6 hanging on to her waist, you sort of say, okay, oh wow, I see you have a lot to deal with, and they're probably hungry all the time. And if there's someone who answers the door who's my age, you can start talking about different things that they might be caring about, or you can connect about grandchildren or what. But yeah, as Eden said, sort of pick up on the cues.
Mhm.
But I also just want to say, have your story ready. I was hiking on Billy Goat B this past week, ran into a young girl. It was her first time on the trail. We chatted for a long time. She's working for a Republican senator from Indiana, and we talked for a good 15 minutes. And I don't know how much I influenced her, but I listened to her, and she took Bayla's card so she can stay connected. And so it was really interesting. Have your story ready so that whomever you run into, you can tell them.
That's a really good point, Gwen. And I think it's really an elevator speech,
Yes, yes.
about who you are and who the candidate is. Because it is true. Because you'd be surprised how many people in our own neck of the woods are not registered to vote, and really are going to sit it out. And we need these people to show up. Um, when Gwen and Lenny, did you have any sort of what was your greatest fear or what made you a little anxious before you even started canvassing?
I'm always afraid of people that are nasty, but I love what Jason Berlin says. He says, if you get somebody that's nasty on the phone or at the door, we don't have to worry about what went wrong in their childhood. And you just move on.
That's right. That's right.
I guess what I would say in addition to what Gwen just said, just like who are these people? Because we don't know. um, just wondering, am I going to know what to say to these people? Now, Eden addressed that, saying we don't need to know everything. But we do have to appear confident in what we are saying. That's why it's another reason why it's so important to know our own stories. We don't have to know everything about the candidate, but we have to present ourselves confidently. Um, so, it took a while to not feel like I needed to have this sort of exhaustive list of everything that, all these points that I needed to know, because you really don't.
With that, what I do is I get 5x7 cards. So if I know that I'm going to talk about the cost of things, well, I want to know specifically what Dan or Janelle is actually going to do about that. Well, they're going to reduce the cost of prescription prices, prescription drugs. They want to get rid of tariffs. They want to increase the minimum wage. They want to provide more subsidies for the healthcare exchange. So all you really need is about 4 or 5 bullet points under the rubric of whatever issue you're going to lead with, because you are not having half-hour conversations with people, but you want to just have a couple of things under your belt when they say, well, what can she do about the prices? Well, that's why she wants to focus on tariffs. That's why she wants to put more money in your wallet. That's why we can't have $7.25 for a minimum wage. We've got to have at least $15. So just a couple of granular points that you can throw out. And if you put them on 5x7 cards and you sort of study that before you show up, you'll do just fine. You really will. I want to throw it open to other people who've actually been canvassing. If you have any experiences you want to share, and for those who haven't, if you have any questions. Nancy.
Well, I just want to say that among other wonderful things that you all said, one of the things that gets me motivated is to think about the person they're trying to replace. That gets the fire in my belly. And just before this call, I went to look at Scott Perry again. And in case you don't know much about him, I hope I can say this without flames coming out of my head, but okay. So he was chair of the Freedom Caucus, which is the most conservative caucus of the Republican Party. He was a huge mover in trying to overturn the 2020 election. And just one more thing, which I just loved, he gave a presentation where he said, since 2016, there has been no climate change.
That's
Think
good.
about that.
Very interesting to note. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He also said reducing the cost of healthcare would be a colossal mistake. Colossal. Yes. So he's really a good guy. And let's hope that his chapter has closed and that we can bring Janelle in and bring Dan in the Eastern Shore. Any other questions? Paula.
Yeah, like Lenny said, I've canvassed many years, but I always worry, especially if I'm canvassing for a candidate that I don't know well, or if it's in another state like Pennsylvania and I don't know what the rules are, so you run into somebody who hasn't even registered. I worry that I won't know when's the deadline for them to register, So I try to put together sort of a cheat sheet with some of the nitty-gritty facts that somebody might ask that you don't want to fumble around and look like an idiot, So
And that's, Paula, you bring up a really good point. That's part of what we do. We do our own Canvas training, and then we will go to the Canvas launch site. And that's where you have those specific questions. When is early voting? Do you have even ballot boxes? How do you do? When can you register to vote? When does that period end? All of which we get from the campaign staff before we head out. Because you're right, Paula, those are really good questions. You typically have a 1-800 number, 1-800 I will vote. And we give that to people, and then they can call specifically about their specific case. But you bring up a good point, Paula. You want to sort of know the granular, but we just sort of write that down for folks before we head out. The field houses, did you have a question?
Yes, Eden, I did. This is Richard Fieldhouse, and I'm a newbie-ish to canvassing. Haven't done much of it. Spent my life in politics. I worked in the Senate for 24 years, so I've got a pretty good idea of what politicians do, and very excited to be doing this. The question I have is, if you're having a conversation and someone doesn't really seem to be interested in having a lot of interaction, not showing much interest, etc., not a lot of enthusiasm to continue the conversation, is there a may I leave you with some
Exactly.
information, right?
Exactly.
Here's a piece of paper or a pamphlet, something about Dan, about Janelle, that I'd like to leave with you in case you want to look it over. And here's, if you want to call, etc. Something as a closing when you're not having a very productive discussion.
Indeed, indeed. And you bring up a very good point. There are people who they're on their way to soccer practice, or they do their own research. And you say, that is terrific. Here's just a couple pieces of lit. And it's got his or her website on it. It's got a list of their priorities. Just spending time there. There's also usually someone that they can email with any kind of questions. They have anything follow up, they can get on the website and send in a question. And it's a good way to close the conversation. It's also what we do is we leave lit if they're not home. And we do it strategically, like we'll do it in their doorway or we do it under their mat so that when they look down, the faces of the candidates are there. We do not put it in mailboxes. Then we go to jail. We don't have bail money. It's awkward. So you just put it in the doors, and that'll leave people with something that they can then follow up with. Ken.
Hi, my name is Ken, and I have been doing canvassing for a while, and I do my canvassing through 31st Street, but wanted to come and check you guys out. And I wanted to follow up on Eden, what you were saying when you go to the door, and specifically about Janelle. Because I was out canvassing last weekend.
Okay.
For Janelle. And when you were talking about coming up with a couple of ideas, one of the tricks is you get your pitch, but if you run into problems, you can hold this up and it has all of our talking points on the back. So if you get stuck, you can just look at the cards.
Perfect. Perfect. Great cheat. How were the doors, Ken?
People were really fired up. They do
Oh,
not
nice.
like Scott Perry at all.
Hey.
And you ask them, well, what's on your mind? And everybody rolls their eyes because the list is way too long.
Oh,
And one person with evidence to back it up called Scott Perry a monster twice.
wow. Okay.
Wow.
Well, the time is right then.
Yes.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for spending time on the doors. Gwen,
Thank
did you
you
have
all.
something?
So I just want to add, if you get a Ring doorbell, I always hold the pamphlet up in front of the Ring doorbell, and sometimes you can leave a message. And I always mention the candidate, at least try and mention the name about 3 times on that Ring doorbell answering machine.
Yes, it is true. I really think that Ring doorbells are the number one reason democracy is dismantling because people, they can see you on their phone and they tend not to come to the door. So Gwen is right. Use that to your advantage. I'll leave a message and I will put it up to the thing and then you leave it at their door. It's not, it's a nice 1-2 punch. Lenny.
I was going to say the same thing about
Okay.
the ring.
Betsy.
You're mute.
Yeah, she's trying to look
Okay,
for it.
I wanted to tell you everybody's worst case scenario.
Okay.
So I'm rather new to Pennsylvania for sure. And I'm going along and most people aren't home. And I get this door and this guy comes out and he's easygoing. And I felt like I was in stump the canvasser territory because all of a sudden he started asking me really esoteric questions. I mean, things that I had no idea about. And so I said, well, I'll have to get back to you on that. And then there was another one, and I'll have to get back to you on that. And then after that, we ended up talking for 15, 20 minutes about lots of other things. And when I got back, I called Eden. And Eden called him, and she knew all the answers, and she got it fixed. So even in the worst case scenario, Eden has your back.
Yes, we work as a team. We do have each other's backs. So I think that unless there's any other questions, I will stay on with the field houses and I'll keep the recording going and we'll go over minivan. But look for we do it through Mobilize, which will set you up with when our canvases will be. And as I said before, we will do 2 times a month at PA 10 and then 1 time a month at Maryland 1. And we will do it through Mobilize. We will do a canvas training beforehand. And then we typically meet in Kensington and then we'll carpool to Pennsylvania or we'll carpool to Maryland. Paula, you're on mute.
My mouse is not working right. When do you think you'll be releasing those dates?
My hope is by mid-August. I'll be
Okay.
working with the campaigns to find, typically it's on a Saturday, a Sunday. We go back and forth between Saturdays and Sundays. Pennsylvania, we will leave about, 9:30 in the morning. We usually get there around sort of 10:30, 11. We'll do 50, 60 doors, and then we turn around and come home. Maryland will be a shorter day, but it still probably will take us, 90 minutes to get there with Maryland traffic.
Yeah. Our Bend the Arc group is very interested in supporting Dan Schwartz, so I was excited to hear. We just have some logistical issues about getting our staff support for partisan work.
Perfect. Okay.
But there are several of us that are interested and we might just say we're doing it anyway. So
Wonderful, wonderful. And typically I'll have one person who says, yes, they can drive, and then 3 people that say, oh, I want a carpool. So I will put them all together and then they will. So you typically only need maybe 5, 6, or 7 drivers and then everybody else can carpool. I tend not to put more than 2 or 3 people per vehicle because you don't want more than really 4 people to do a turf. That's too much for the driver to figure out who is where. So we keep it to 3 or 4 people per car. Lenny, did you have a question?
I a question and a comment. Question is, do you know where in D1 the canvassing will be? Because it's a huge district.
It is a huge district. I'm going to work with the campaign on that. I'll actually be working with Jovi on that, sort
Okay.
of where we're really needed. So because it's a huge district, so
Yeah.
we could go various places, whether it's Elkton or Salisbury or Ocean City, which is too far.
Yeah.
So we will try to get it a little bit closer.
And then my comment was to please make sure that you're signed up to get our newsletter. A
Yes.
bit of a sore subject with some people. So if you can go to our website, and if you're not already signed up, sign up for the newsletter, and which is on sort of an irregular schedule, but check your spam folder, your junk folder, whatever.
Sometimes that's the frustrating that people sign up and then it goes to their spam. But dothemostgood.org and
Do the most
sign-
good MoCo. Do the most good MoCo.
yeah, dothemostgoodmoco.org. And that'll give you your postcards, and it will give you also when we're up and running with the canvassing.
Everything that's coming up with the canvassing, with the postcards, with any other events that come up, with social things we do, like going back to El Golfo where we have
So we had a night at El Golfo. We wanted to give the immigrant community some love. So we went just a couple weeks ago to El Golfo in Tacoma Park, and we're going to go back September 18th. We filled the room, and one of the people on Ben Vaughn, who is on our leadership committee, is in a band, and his band played, and then everybody got great food, and then we talked a little bit about canvassing and
The
what
band-
was good.
Sorry, the band is called the Good Trouble Troubadours. So they they sing and they craft protest songs for now. You
Exactly.
know, the
They're quite creative. So please join us on September 18th. Any other questions? Cynthia, we would love to work with WDC folks and have them join us.
Yeah, our board is meeting on Sunday for our strategic planning annual meeting, and the first thing is going to be mapping out August, September, and October. So all about job one, which is getting Democrats to win. Job one. That's it. That's where we are. That's what we have to do.
So true.
I have
Paula?
one other little nitty-gritty question. In the email you sent, you gave us a turf number to put in minivan.
Exactly.
But
Which didn't work because it had already expired.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to stay on with the field houses, and Paul, I can stay on with you as well, and give you a new turf number and sort of walk you through it.
We don't really need the turf number until we're ready to go
Right.
canvass.
This is because you're familiar with minivans.
Right.
They
Yeah.
are not.
I
So-
see. In order to see how it looks,
Exactly.
you needed to.
So
Okay,
it's
so I don't need to
it's a
worry about
pretend
that.
number. You don't.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Gwen.
I have one more thing. So the biggest impact that people can have is on people you already know. So if you know people in Pennsylvania, Virginia, Arizona, wherever, I tell you, my friends in Arizona, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, they all know they're going to hear from me at voting time. So and don't be shy. Just even people you haven't talked to them forever, just contact them because they know you and they're going to trust you.
Exactly. Good point, Gwen. Ken, you're on mute. You can't get off mute? All right, since he's having difficulty getting off, very strange. Sometimes happens to me too. Sometimes you just can't get off mute. I'm going to stay on and talk with the field houses about minivan. For those of you all who want a refresher course, please feel free to stay on. Those who are watching the recording, I'll walk you through minivan. But everybody else, I'm giving you back your evening. And thank you very, very much for joining. We really look forward to seeing you this fall. Let's just get these Dems over the finish line so we can get some sleep and feel that the country is going to be okay. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time and effort. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Ken,
Thank
yes.
you, DTMG. Bye.
Yes, Ken?
Yeah, sorry. Technical problems. I'm not going to stay on for the minivan because I'm familiar with it, but is Do the Most Good thinking possibly about an overnight trip to drive a little bit further?
We hadn't thought about that, but I think we're open to it.
Oh, well, if I could suggest that PA8 and Paige Cognetti.
Okay.
And just to give a quick pitch, she has a great resume, a great story, and a really strong candidate to flip a Republican district.
Nice.
And she's the kind of candidate. She's the first female mayor of Scranton.
Nice.
And
not an easy town.
PA8 has never had a female representative that was elected to that district.
Marvelous.
And just a little, FYI, Pennsylvania has never had a female senator or governor.
Ah, okay.
Paige Cognetti is the kind of candidate that could change that.
Well, if we have the bandwidth, I would love to look into it. Thank you, Ken.
Awesome. Have a good day. Thank you.
All right. Field houses, do you want to stay on? Terrific. Go ahead and take yourself off of mute.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you, did you guys get the minivan app and an action ID?
I did. I was able to get in. I actually got as far as enter a list number.
Great.
I actually tried it, but Richard is actually struggling to
Well,
get.
I had a number of challenges getting an ID, but I do have an Action ID account
Okay.
and a profile. I haven't put in my phone number, but it was kind of
A mess.
a real mess getting email, password,
Yes,
etc.
yes.
Just kept bouncing around and
I gotta say that's the hardest part.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I after about 7 tries, I think I'm in.
7 is the magic number.
Yeah. So
So we're launched.
so-
We're ready to
Okay.
go.
So when it asks for a turf number,
Yes.
let me give you the turf number.
Okay.
and I'm not there yet, but
Okay.
let me ask, when I have to verify my
Yeah,
email
you
address,
hit that,
I'll do that again, get another.
and then something gets sent to you.
They have a lot of errors in there.
Yeah.
In their
Let's
email.
just do mine, and then
Okay.
we'll sort him out later.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good.
So the
Okay.
number is 57919053. The new square
Yep.
27209.
Got it.
So
Hit
you're,
download list.
yep. So what comes up should be a map with bubbles and then something that says 3001 Decatur Avenue.
Go ahead and hit autosync.
Yep, I've got 3001 Decatur Avenue in
Okay.
Kensington, Maryland.
And what do you see above that? Do you see a map?
I see a map.
Okay. So each of those bubbles has numbers in them.
Mhm.
Yes.
2, 1, 4.
12,
Those are the
11.
houses that you're going to hit, and that's the number of voters. So you
Okay.
can look at when you're going door to door, you can use the map, or you can do it by street number. As you can see, if you take your finger, the 3001 Decatur Avenue sort of goes up and down.
Okay,
Okay. So let's focus on 3001 Decatur Avenue.
got it.
So
Viewing,
that's the first house you're going to go to. You
okay,
click on that.
got it.
And do you see that Camilla shows up? So Camilla, she's a female. She's 33 years old, and she's a Democrat.
Got it.
Click on her again. Now, this is a walk script that is not the script that we're going to be using. This is what my boss used here in Kensington.
Okay,
But this is where you're going to find the script. So
Got
even
it.
though you will have practiced it, there'll be certain things that the campaign wants us to keep track of. You'll go and you'll tell your story, you'll tell who you are, then you'll talk a little bit about Janelle, and then it will say, do you have a plan to vote? Are you going to early vote? Are you going to vote by mail? Do you have your ballot? All of that will be in this script, and you will click yes or no. And that's the data that the campaign is going to keep track of.
Okay,
And does that automatically go back to the
Exactly.
once you check it? Okay.
That's right.
do people get irritated that you're pressing numbers on your phone?
That's really a good question. You don't do it till you walk away.
Okay,
it.
that's what
Yeah,
I
you
figured.
have your conversation and you walk away and say, oh, that's right, they're going to vote
Right.
early, or
Right.
this is where they're going, or this is the question they had, or yes, exactly. Good point.
Okay,
You see where it says script, but then you see where it says details
Yeah, keep scrolling.
at the very top under Camilla's name.
Oh,
yes, yes, yes. Got
Okay,
it.
go
Oh,
to
yeah,
details.
there's- Yep, yep, yep.
That is where Camilla is going to vote. That's her voting site.
Oh.
Then you'll be able to
Kensington
tell
Town Hall.
people.
Mm-hmm,
Then go to notes.
got it.
Sometimes you will find a note in there of a conversation that somebody had before. Then go to history. This will usually have when someone has knocked at their door, when someone has dropped off lit, if they've gotten a phone call. That
Okay,
is more for your edification to know sort of what their history is. So go back, see the back arrow above Camilla's name.
yep,
Okay. So let's say that you go to Camilla's door, and often Camilla's not going to be there. Your voter's not going to be there. If you right swipe on Camilla's name, if you do that, you'll see an orange block that says NH.
okay, wait 1 second, because I
Uh-huh.
think I went back too far.
Right.
So I'm on Camilla, and now I swipe right on here.
right.
Nope, not there. Not on this page.
I can't. Nope, go back one.
But not there.
You're not right.
Yes, there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, put your thumb on
Right.
Camilla.
I have to go
It's
right
just
and
right
left.
versus other right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
H, yes. Okay.
You'll see it says NH.
Yep, yep.
That is an easy way because often you're not going to be able to get to the door. You're just going to right swipe. And
Okay,
that just tells the campaign that they were not home, but you
right.
left lit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I left lit. Mhm.
Yeah. Now go back into Camilla. Click on Camilla.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Let's say Camilla wasn't home. You see where it says I couldn't reach this contact?
right. Were you able to contact this person?
Right. You go into that and you
And-
see where it says not home, deceased, inaccessible, move.
Right.
If their houses, if they've moved, if the house is blocked up because they're doing renovations, if someone tells you that they've died, that's when you're going to give specific information about why you couldn't contact them. 9 times out of 10, you're just going to right swipe and you're going
Right.
to do the not home.
Okay.
When I come across, often you'll come across it something that says no soliciting. Okay.
Right.
I still knock because we are not soliciting for money. If I come to a door that says no soliciting, like I really mean it, don't tell me about your political values, don't tell me about your religion, then I'm just going to leave lit.
Okay.
I'm not going to bother. If I come to a house that's got a fence around it, I am going to whistle and sort of say, "Hey, doggy, doggy," to see if there's any dog in the yard. If there's a
Right.
dog, I'm not going to go in. But
Okay.
if no dog comes and the dog clearly hears me, I'm going to go and proceed into the yard, into the door. So
Okay.
you can just sort of go with what your comfort level is.
Mm-hmm.
So then go back to 3001 Decatur Avenue.
Got it.
Okay. So pull your screen down so you're looking at the map.
Yep.
Okay. So when you're actually doing the doors, this will help you when you're looking at the streets. You just minimize it, minimize it, minimize it. It'll show you like the house on street Stella Court, or how many houses are on Hobson or McComas
Oh, do you mean in the view?
in the view.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
Google
Okay,
Maps
they have
view.
a boat in front of the
Exactly.
house. Okay, got it.
So
Yeah.
that's when you're dividing streets with someone. Hey, I'm going to take McComas, you take Hobson. Okay.
Got it.
You also can do the filter. Let's see, let's go back to my list. Bring your screen back up to 3001 Decatur.
Okay.
Okay. See where it says filters?
No, but just a
I
minute.
have get directions.
So in terms of,
So
Yeah.
you're
oh,
let's see. You were at the map, right?
Got it.
Yeah, got
Now
the
I've
map.
got it.
And then you pulled up, so now you've got the addresses.
yep,
Okay. Do you see 3001 Decatur Avenue?
Yes.
Look a little bit above that. You see where it says filters?
I just lost it. Hold on. I touched the map and then it all went away. And now we've got Target.
wait, no, that last one. Yep. Now we're getting rid of everything on the phone and going back into, even, okay, now these are
Okay.
the addresses.
Yeah. So, oh, there I see filters.
Okay, perfect.
I see
If you push filters,
Yeah.
that's where you can do, it says it's all evens and odds. So if you
Oh.
guys wanted to go together and do the same street, you could do evens and odds.
Got
Right.
it.
So that's just a nice feature. And that is essentially it. You see the little cloud at the top that says,
Yeah.
mine says 9 minutes. You're going to keep clicking that. That means you're syncing and that all your information is going back to the campaign. It's supposed to happen automatically, but we just do it on a regular basis.
Okay, just a minute. So the problem was literally as you spoke those words, Google Cloud put a cloud at the top of the screen.
Okay.
So if I hit done at the bottom or exit out, will there be a cloud? Or do we still want to be on the page with filters? Oh, I see
There
the
we
cloud,
go.
the
I see,
upload
I
cloud.
see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You just hit that to down.
We were getting a weather, we
Upload.
were getting a Google weather report.
Okay, let's not do weather.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
stick with our campuses.
Thunderstorms, right? Okay.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
we will get better at this, I know.
And
Oh, you actually have done far better than many people I've trained, so you guys are good to go.
I do have a question on the map. That's the big map.
Yeah.
That's got all the addresses underneath it. You were saying, I want to go back because if you touch the map,
Yeah, as soon as you touch the map,
yeah.
all hell breaks loose.
Okay.
So wait a second, filters?
So there it
Yeah,
is.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got it.
Okay. So when I'm looking at the map, you said there are numbers, and the numbers correspond to, I think, the number of people,
Number of voters.
voters,
So
right?
if it says 16,
Yeah,
are we
there's a
looking at an
blue-
apartment building?
That means you need to pull it out more.
I see.
That means you have
Oh,
16
there we go.
houses.
You have a bunch of houses in that area.
Exactly.
Got it, got it.
Because I was going to
Exactly.
say, if you know houses with 16 voters, I'm
Exactly.
going right there.
I am
I'm starting-
camping out there.
I'm spending all my time there, right?
I will not leave until everyone in this house votes.
Got it. Okay, I see
Okay.
how that works. Got it.
And in terms of logistics, I just wanted to say, we now have a condo actually in Ocean City. So we
Wonderful.
could end up doing canvassing there. Now, the problem is Ocean City, most of those people don't live there, They just go there.
Right.
Vacation.
Well, here's the deal, is that the names that you're going to get will
Oh,
be
have it
names that
specific.
they know we should be.
Got
So
it.
when you're going down a street, let's say you've got 9 homes, you may only hit 4 homes
Right,
that are on
right,
your
right,
list
right.
because they're in our population that we're going to hit.
And we'll like I was writing postcards today and everybody was in Aberdeen or,
Yeah.
okay.
So, and another question that is tangentially related, because we will be going to Ocean City and into Worcester County, and is it A, possible, and B, advisable to try to get some yard signs to put around for the campaign? I'm sure this is a campaign issue, right? They know what they want, where they want it, if it
And we
helps,
could address
etc.
them directly.
But we're working with you, you're working with them, and so my ask is if it would make sense to get some yard signs or some kind of signs and put them up, let us know, because we can do that.
Typically how it works is the campaign will just put signs. One of the questions we'll be asking people is, even if you have a great conversation and it's really been positive and they're all in, then you say, would you like a yard sign?
Right.
Got
And
it.
then you click it and then the campaign will know.
Got it.
Typically, we do not put yard signs out because if you do it in the right of way, then you get fined.
Okay.
Unless it's within a certain, like 24 hours within the, before the election.
Right.
And then the campaign typically knows where they want to put the signs. So it may be that if you're in Ocean City and you've got a couple of hours, I'll give you the contact to the campaign and say, listen, if you want me to deliver signs for the next couple of hours, I'm willing to do that.
Okay,
Right.
that's
Then
great.
they'll give you a list of addresses and you just
Right.
go around and put in people's yards.
Yeah.
But you're only going to put them in people's yards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
sounds great. That's
we
good.
we were just thinking today, well, we're out there.
Yeah.
If it's possible and it's helpful,
Yep.
we're
The other thing we may talk to the campaign about is sometimes they do need drivers that get people to the polls the day of.
right.
It's not typically that much. Usually the souls to the polls, which is the churches, will get people to the polls. But sometimes they may have, 3 or 4 people who are so elderly that they can't make it on their own.
Right.
And if you want to sort of be on the list of volunteers, then you could drive people to the polls or to
Okay.
early voting. And that's always helpful.
Yeah.
And
He
I
is
won't be able
actually-
to because I'm an election judge here in
Oh,
Montgomery
yeah.
County.
Okay. Well,
So
thank you
Just
for doing that.
volunteer for
Yeah.
that this year.
So-
We're pulling out all the plugs.
Yeah.
Oh, pulling out all the stops.
I will tell you,
All the stuff.
I was thrilled. I knew you were working for supporting Dan Schwartz campaign, and I was doing postcards today with Gwen in
For Roy Cooper.
North Carolina,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't know about Janelle. But I'm spending a lot of my time researching candidates and supporting people, and Janelle is one of the people I've been all in for. So
Oh, she is just
yeah. And Scott Perry is an animal.
he's just
A monster. I'm sorry, that was the word, monster.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's just, oh my gosh.
And she's the perfect candidate. She's beautiful. She's articulate. She used to be a Republican. She's known because she was a newscaster.
Right.
You couldn't ask for a
Yeah, I
better
know. If you were designing a candidate,
Exactly.
she would hit all the right buttons.
I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. No, it's
great.
and I've met her quite a few times. I did a fundraiser for her. My brother-in-law did one in Pennsylvania. She's so down to earth and so humble and so smart. It's fun to meet that kind of candidate.
Yep, sure it is. Sure it is.
Okay.
So,
Well,
okay.
thank you for this. This
Yeah,
is
thank
Indeed.
you.
I'm so glad you guys are going to join
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So when
No,
we
we-
in August, we're back in September and ready to go.
Oh, I did have a
Full
question that I was
board.
going to ask during the group session.
Oh, yeah.
But she said, no, wait till we're on just. I was like, okay. And it was the question was signing up for the newsletter,
Yeah,
and
we
it
don't
was
do it.
it was not clear to me what the name was. Do
Do-
the most good, and then there was something else.
MoCo, MoCO
Got it.
Oh, for
got it,
Montgomery County.
right.
.org.
Got it.
Okay, and is that
Montgomery
lower cases or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Great. No, it was the mocha that confused me.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, mocha? What? I'm sorry.
Little
Okay.
chocolate overtone?
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right,
Yeah.
espresso,
So
whatever.
I will say this is what got us on here this time. I don't know if you can see it. But
Yep.
that was what impelled us to
And where was that?
Postcard writing.
this was on the Montgomery County Democratic Party.
Oh, the MCDCC. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that and I said, okay, this is our chance. We've been wanting to write postcards and we've been wanting to canvas and you
Oh.
put it all out there. So thank you for that.
Indeed. And where do you guys live?
We're in Silver Spring
Right
Okay.
at the top, right at the top of the
of DC.
DC, right off
Okay.
East Highway near Rosemary Hills Elementary School.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, we both commented during the wider group session when you were presenting and we were on mute. We both said, "Wow, she's really good.
Yes, you're really good.
You're really good at this. You're clear. You nail it. Your communication is spot on."
I don't want to take too much of your time, but Richard worked for Senator Carl Levin.
Oh, I
When he
love
was-
Carl Levin.
Yes, and he was on his personal staff. He was also on armed services. But you always say that he said it's so important to go door to door. He was running for a job.
He had an experience in Detroit when he was quite young, probably on the city council still, and he was driving people to the polls. And he had an experience, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, no, I'm game." He was a taxi driver at one point in his career. He was a great driver, and he was driving people to the polls. And in either the district, I don't know what geographic, political sort of element, whether it was a district or whatever, it was for JFK.
Mhm.
He drove something like 8 people to the polls, and JFK won by something like 7 votes.
I can't. It's just
Right? He just said, you cannot believe how important that action is. He said it can make the difference, especially in these votes where these elections that come down to tiny vote differentials,
Yeah,
right?
which it will.
And my personal hope is
Blow
we
it out
are
the
we are
water.
looking
Yeah.
for blowouts. I don't want
send a
anything
message.
closed. Yeah.
Send a message.
Yeah. So
But-
anyway,
Well, I really
thank
look
you.
forward to working with you guys, and thank
Likewise.
you. And we'll do some great work this fall.
I think
Okay,
so, and
perfect.
we'll get the right
And thank you.
result.
Indeed, indeed.
And-
Thank you
yeah.
all very much.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night.